Let's talk Tobago, or people, or places, or challenges and achievements, or needs and aspirations. Join us as we continue our journey into the future.
Hello and thank you for joining us for Let's Talk Tobago, the program that keeps you informed about the plans and initiatives of the Tobago House of Assembly and the impact that these have on you. I'm Colleen Holder. In our program this week, finishing touches for the new Scarborough Hospital, ramping up Tobago's tourism product with film and food, prison inmates learning valuable life skills. Is Tobago the oldest piece of real estate in the Caribbean? And Old Time Calypso takes center stage. We'll have these stories and much more after the break.
Villagers, NGOs, schools, let's celebrate the THA's 30th anniversary with Around the Island Torch Run on November 18th from 5:30 a.m. The journey begins at Tobago Beach facility and ends on the Milford Road Esplanade, followed by a cultural show. The THA's 30th anniversary, celebrating the journey.
The new Scarborough Hospital will be handed over to officials of NIPDEC by the end of November as the contractor China Railway Company is putting the finishing touches to the long overdue project. This was revealed by Health Secretary Claudia Groom-Duke at the THA's recent Executive Council media briefing. But as Sophie Guillaume tells us, the Secretary says the hospital may not be functional before March next year.
NIPDEC in their turn will now hand over the building to the Ministry of Health, and they would then apply the installment of the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. It is expected that the first installment of the furniture, fixtures, and equipment should be completed around December to January, the first installment. And the second installment will be completed around 12 weeks from December, which will be around March.
When the equipment is installed by the Ministry of Health in December, testing will then take place.
We really need for our people in Tobago to understand that it will take something like 6 months to complete a process. And sometimes at the meeting yesterday, they were saying these commissioning and moving into a hospital at this stage would take something like a year. They were saying that, but we have been working towards a 6-month time frame.
The Secretary further noted that during the decommissioning-commissioning phase, both hospitals will be functional.
So there will be the time when we will be managing both hospitals as we move services in transition from the old hospital to the new hospital. And this is something we really want everybody to understand in terms of the stages, the phases, and what it takes to move the services from one hospital to the other.
Sophie Guillaume, Department of Information.
Community life in Tobago is what tourists will come to experience and what will keep them coming back to learn more about the island's rich heritage. This is the focus of Tobago's Caribbean Tourism Month 2011. Community film screenings on the island's tourism events are just a few of the activities which will engage all Tobagonians in further developing the tourism industry. Omadara Mills has the details from the media launch at the A&R Robinson International Airport.
The month of November has been designated as Caribbean Tourism Month by the Caribbean Tourism Organization. Under the banner One Sea, One Voice, One Caribbean, Secretary of Tourism and Transportation Oswald Williams emphasized the importance of strong community involvement in sustaining the island's tourism.
We have to ensure that we embrace our communities. We have to ensure that the conversation shifts to ensuring that our communities look within and see what they have to offer, what they have that can engage, and to create the kinds of experiences that we want our tourists to have.
Events coordinator John Arnold described the month of activities. They will include tourism television talks, heritage trails through the rainforest, and several community tourism programs.
We have a very important community-based initiative that's going to take place in 3 villages. However, we'll launch one in Pallitivere with the waterfall, and the plan is to do some signage. We're going to be showing some of these films along with another very popular movie to come out, The Turn of the Tide, Next Generation, at 2 villages, Goodwood and Golden Lane. And again, this is to involve the communities in some of the work and make them aware of what we're doing.
President of the Tobago Hotels and the Tourism Association, Nicholas Hardwick, urged all tourism stakeholders to be ready and willing to work hard in developing the tourism sector despite the recent challenges caused by the world financial crisis.
We have come through hard times in recent years, but let us, despite these difficulties and reduced budgets, demonstrate an ability to get things done. Let us reinvent ourselves with passion and ambition to ensure that we are ready, that the recently rededicated Arthur A&R Robinson International Airport is ready, that the Magdalena Grand Hotel is ready.
I am Umadara Mills for the Department of Information.
When you eat doubles or pilau, you're eating a part of history. Aspiring chefs in Tobago were made aware of the importance of knowing the history of local foods at the Taste TNT Culinary Workshop. Students at the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Institute also got the opportunity to learn about the basic requirements for becoming executive chefs. Once again, here's Omadara Mills.
As part of its 2011 activities, the Taste TNT International Culinary Festival held a one-day workshop in Tobago entitled The Culinary Side of the Industry. Chef Manuel Ruelas said that it is important to understand the process of creating dishes, since they help to preserve the identity of one's culture.
Understand that the tradition is the only way to preserve part of our identity, your identity, and now it's your responsibility. Understand and try to keep that legacy alive.
Chef Arturo Garcia Mogollon said that when persons eat a particular dish, they are eating a part of history. As such, chefs can allow persons to have a new understanding of a particular cuisine.
And you can offer people then a new way of understanding cuisine, not only by flavors and surprising techniques, but also by understanding what's behind it. It's something that people will carry with them when they try the dish. I mean, they are eating, but they are eating history, they are eating a whole explanation of what's behind that dish.
Chef Ron Hilton encouraged students to use local ingredients when coming up with creative dishes.
I want to encourage you to look around you, see what is available, whatever like herbs and spices and stuff like that you can find on hand, to utilize them and try to balance the flavors in order to create real tasty and presentable dishes.
The main ingredient in becoming a chef is passion for the profession. This was the advice given by Chef Dexter Boris. Chef Boris also assured the students that cooking is a profitable job.
If you choose this career, if you choose this job, let me tell you something, you will all time have work. Because if the hotel don't want you, or a restaurant don't want you, as long as there is fire, there is a pot, there is ingredients to put inside of it, you can all time do it.
I am Umadara Mills for the Department of Information.
An opportunity to be self-sufficient. This was one of the messages given to participants at the first ever client networking session put on by the Business Development Unit of the THA's Division of Finance. Sophie Guillaume has the details.
Businessman Norris Dale Phillips, who saw his own business destroyed by fire 2 years ago, told the entrepreneurs that proper checks and balances are key to a successful venture.
Sometimes it's you alone and you know, well, yeah, you're going ahead and you don't have to account to nobody. And then you get sick. And nobody knows how to find anything in your business. So the business literally had to close down because you weren't there. So one of the smart things that you should do is from as early as possible, start to write down your daily sale, start to know how much money you're putting out, So you know, well, okay, if I put, some people has be running business and had to be taking money from their pocket or from their pay to run the business because they don't even have a clue if it's making money or not.
Phillips advised the grant recipients to invest their money instead of spending it, to find ways of reinventing themselves, and, above all, to put God in their business. Finance Secretary Dr. Ansem London reminded the entrepreneurs that they are the protectors of Tobago's economy and heritage.
This is our Tobago, and I beg you please, let us continue this contractual relationship. My serving you, and you serving yourself, myself, and all of Tobago. Let's cement that contract in as many ways as possible. Helping each other, helping the assembly, helping others in business, so that Tobago once again can lead this country, in this instance, out of its economic wilderness.
Meanwhile, Chief Secretary Orville London told the grant recipients that they were being given an opportunity to become self-sufficient.
I expect that in 2 years' time, you will not be here talking in the same way that you're talking, but that you will, of course, have had the mindset where you recognize that what the Tobago House of Assembly and the BDU would have done is to provide you with an opportunity to improve yourself, an opportunity to get your feet wet, an opportunity to get the required experience so that you can utilize the opportunities and the resources available to do even better than you're doing today.
In the interactive session led by Enterprise Assistant Fund Manager Shelly-Ann Batiste, the service providers addressed some of the challenges they face.
Some people tend to want to bully me into doing their clothes only, because some people might bring, you know, like a whole bag of things and they want all one time. And even if you try to explain that there are other things that you need to do, they still insist. They bully me a lot to get their stuff done. So sometimes I have to, you know, sometimes I give in and say, okay, well then this person might wait 2 days or so.
One of the challenges we faced in furniture in the past used to be the glue. But nowadays, there's a glue that sells that to mix. You don't have that problem anymore.
The recipients also expressed their gratitude for the BDU's assistance.
I want to say thanks again to the BDU for giving me this opportunity so that I can be able to fulfill my dream and so that it will continue in the generation.
Thank you for the investment you have made in me. You've believed in me, and you would have played a role in making me a top wedding planner in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for the investment made.
Sophie Guillaume, Department of Information.
Checks totaling $30,000 were recently handed over to 2 organizations by the Chief Secretary of London for specific ongoing projects. Pastor of the Roxborough SDA Church, Dr. Normington Alain, received $25,000 for renovation work to the church building.
Right now we are renovating our church, and this would help to go a long way in bringing about what we plan to do. I want to express my gratitude to the Chief Secretary and the Tobago House of Assembly for this grant that is given to the Roxborough Seventh-day Adventist Church, and we plan to use it wisely.
And $5,000 went to the Tobago arm of Youth for Christ, whose coordinator, Melanie James, says the money will be well spent.
Today I received a check of $5,000, and it's going to be used to enhance the children's program that we have going on right now. We are going into the different schools, and we have like a package called I Am Special for the primary school. On behalf of Youth for Christ Trinidad and Tobago, I would just like to say thank you to the Chief Sec for giving us this money, and I also want to say that we will make good use of it.
Craft in the Cell. Prison inmates learn to make furniture and other household items during a 3-month craft and life skills program. Stefan Williams has more on their achievements in this report.
Over 12 prisoners recently graduated from a 3-month program which taught them how to make household furniture using PVC. The inventions varied from chairs to hangers to racks for kitchenwares, to name a few. The program, which was organized by the prison officers, was aimed at invoking a change in attitude in the inmates.
Change is inevitable and change is constant. What or whom we decide to become when we change is up to the individual. No one can force change upon anybody, but change can be encouraged. And that is the mission of the Tobago Prison and the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service.
In his address entitled The Enriching Thoughts, Victor Joseph encouraged his fellow inmates to use their time in prison wisely.
Instead of placing judgment on where you find yourself, consider the positive possibilities. Instead of extended assumption out from your limitation, imagine your most treasured dreams extending out from your current situation. If you feel stuck where you are mistaken. Anything is possible when you engage the power of your imagination.
Chief Secretary of London gave his full commitment to the prison officers, promising of better facilities in the near future, before leaving with some words of advice for the inmates.
What we have here is an environment where your self-esteem can be restored. An environment where you have officers who are prepared to assist you where rehabilitation is concerned. But rehabilitation is about the officers and rehabilitation is about you. In the final analysis, what you become is not going to depend on what happens to you here. It's going to depend on how you operate when you're no longer here.
The prisoners were presented with their certificates for participation, while tokens of appreciation were given to those who contributed to the success of the program. For the Department of Information, I am Stephen Williams.
Let's Talk Tobago continues after the break with the answer to this question. How old do you think Tobago really is? Stay with us.
Villagers, NGOs, schools, let's celebrate the THA's 30th anniversary with Around the Island Torch Run on November 18th from 5:30 a.m. The journey begins at Storby Beach facility and ends on the Milford Road Esplanade, followed by a cultural show, the THA's 30th anniversary, celebrating the journey.
Welcome back. Tobago is the oldest piece of land in the Eastern Caribbean. Dr. Willard Phillips made this startling revelation along with other facts at a recent lecture on Tobago's environment. Stefan Williams has more details in this report.
As the Tobago House of Assembly continues its 30th anniversary celebrations, lectures on the history of Tobago continues throughout venues across the island. The latest in the lecture series featured economist Willard Phillips. Speaking on the topic, improving economic benefits through good environmental practice, Mr. Phillips began by revealing to the audience some stunning information.
Tobago is actually the remnant of a chain of volcanic islands from the Pacific, and I was blown away by that, and formed some 106 million years ago. Now, when I read that, it became, over time, it started to make a little bit of sense, because if you travel the Eastern Caribbean, you would note that Tobago is markedly different from the rest of the Eastern Caribbean.
Mr. Phillips explained the significant benefits that can be derived from our natural resources, which includes land, marine, wetlands, biodiversity, and reefs, to name a few. Throughout his PowerPoint presentation, Mr. Phillips engaged the audience, feeding them bits and pieces of information about the benefits of the environment to the economy, with particular emphasis on Tobago's reefs.
In 2006, it was estimated that the reefs in Tobago contributed roughly $43.5 million to the Tobago economy. They also estimate that the indirect impact of having the Booker Reef and Speyside Reef and so on for diving brought to Tobago an additional $58 to $86 million in 2006.
Quoting from statistics, Mr. Phillips explained the relationship between a healthy environment and a thriving tourism industry, which in Tobago's case is the mainstay of the economy. He concluded with a message of preservation, urging Tobagonians to preserve the environment for more economic gains. For the Department of Information, I am Stephen Williams.
The Tobago chapter of the National Administrative Professionals will soon be re-established. This was the assurance given by the organization's president, Charmaine Gomez-Dolly, at a recent courtesy call with Chief Secretary Orville London.
We will have a Tobago chapter. We want to re-establish our connection with the Tobago House of Assembly. We want to make sure that we can meet your objectives and we can assist in that respect, I'm sure, with the training that we'll offer.
Mr. London commended the organization for the importance they have placed on dignity and professionalism within the administrative sector. He also said the THA is willing to aid in the revitalization of the Tobago chapter,
which is to ensure that the persons who provide service get the necessary training, sufficiently motivated, have pride in themselves, but also that their work is appreciated. I must indicate that I've been given the assurance that the association is willing to initiate and facilitate further training sessions in Tobago on various topics of interest, and we will definitely take them up on that.
And it's been a busy week for the Chief Secretary as students of the Rio Claro West Secondary also paid him a courtesy call. They wanted to find out why has the Shaw Park Cultural Complex taken such a long time to be constructed? And what does the Chief Secretary really think about the amount of money given to Tobago by the central government? These were some of the questions asked by the sociology students of the Rio Claro West Secondary. During their courtesy call, the students got a greater understanding of key issues affecting Tobago. Here's Umadara Mills with this report.
Chief Secretary Orville London took on his former role of teacher as he educated 10 sociology students on the long construction process involved in completing the Shaw Park Cultural Complex.
We passed a building that the driver said was being built for 15 years. He said it's a cultural building. I would just like to know a little more about it.
It's the Shaw Park Cultural Complex. It had started some time ago, about 5 or 6 years, and it should be completed next year. We decided to construct something that will encompass all the cultural activities in Tobago, build something with class, and build something that will be relevant in 20, 30 years' time.
Chief Secretary Orville London was not afraid to respond to one student's question about the amount of money given to Tobago for fiscal year 2011-2012.
Even though we might consider that we have not got what we think we should or what we deserve, as managers, we have a responsibility to ensure that we do what has to be done with the resources that have been made available.
How is crime affecting Tobago's tourism? This was a question posed to the Chief Secretary by one student.
To a large extent, it is not just the crime which is important or the crime statistics. It is the perception of crime. And by extension, the perception of the kind of environment which exists in the particular destination. I just want to indicate that from the perspective of incidents of crime, the situation in Tobago is not out of hand.
Students shared how they felt about their sociology lesson by Chief Secretary Orville London.
Well, I have a better understanding about development, tourism, and the population.
I am Umadara Mills for the Department of Information.
After serving more than 200,000 students in the last 11 years in Trinidad, BGTT's science bus will now be making its home here in Tobago. Here's Stefan Williams with the details.
A short ceremony marked a historic occasion as the BGTT Science Bus was recently handed over to the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport. The retired bus was used by BGTT for over 11 years, journeying throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad, teaching primary school students about science and how it influenced their day-to-day life. The bus has touched the lives of over 230,000 students in its 11-year journey. At the handing over ceremony, Assistant Secretary for the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport, Huey Cadet, commended BGTT for acknowledging their social responsibility to give back to society.
Very often, we have many organizations who, in varying sectors, whether it's energy, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's banking, and you see all these profits that they make and all the things that they're doing sometimes as it relates to their core business. And very often it's very challenging, and you don't see any demonstration that they recognize that while they have their core responsibility might be in energy or manufacturing, that they have a responsibility to give back to their communities and to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I really want to commend BGTT for recognizing that and for doing it in a significant way.
Mr. Cadet also explained the importance of business organizations working together with the Tobago House of Assembly.
It's important that you work through the Tobago House of Assembly and you work with the Tobago House of Assembly. It's an important partnership that as the body responsible for affairs in this island, that organizations like BGTT recognize the importance of partnering with the Tobago House of Assembly.
For the Department of Information, I am Stephen Williams.
$20,000 for Old Time Calypso. That's the sum that's up for grabs as 11 contestants create an atmosphere of yesteryear at the Pembroke Heritage Park. To mark Cultural History Month in October, the competitors sang cover versions of calypsos from as far back as the 1950s, paying homage to the likes of Maestro, Lord Caruso and David Rudder as part of the Tobago Vintage Calypso Monarch competition. Sophie Guillaume has the highlights.
Doing their best to recreate the talents of their predecessors, the 11 contestants pulled out all the stops. With great ease, Kenneth Punchin Thomas delivered an articulate version of Trinidad Rio's Big Word Man.
I say metamorphosistically I am the louche, and for no necrotic runnerly, you are in shoes. Two women run and grab me and them shake me hand and call me the Big Word Man. The Big Word Man.
Michael Baker got the crowd in on the action as he rendered a song from his namesake Lord Baker, God Bless Our Nation.
In this wonderland of Calypso, in this wonderland of... Sing the chorus. Where I was. God bless our nation.
Invoking the spirit of the late Lord Kitchener, Curtis John, whose appropriate sobriquet is Tobago Kitchi, brought the Grandmaster's Sugar Boom Boom to life.
You touch on me, the way you whine, I love to see your fat behind. Sugar boom, sugar boom boom, sugar boom, sugar boom boom, sugar boom, sugar boom boom, sugar boom, sugar boom boom.
But despite these powerful performances, the top 3 spots belong to the creme de la creme. Blakey's Steel Band Clash scored Garth Washington 247 points, putting him in 3rd position.
My friend run and left his hat when they hit him a baseball bat. Never me again to jump in a steel band in Port of Spain.
1 point ahead of him, in 2nd place, was Opukuwari with Lord Caruso's 1959 hit Run the Gunslinger.
Punishment when the police hold them and they arrest them. Do not find them, don't even prison them. Send them in the square, let everybody be there. Beat them with the cat. All those thief bombs are done with that blade now.
Maestro's Black Identity gave Dylan Thomas a clear lead to become the youngest vintage Caisonian.
Now though Africans could be reluctant to pass this on to his descendants, these names that you so dearly consider belonging to the white slave master.
The night also featured performances from some of the stalwarts of the art form.
A child depends on his parents to teach him some common sense. But when the parent talks so much nonsense, the ugly learn disobedience. Woman, tell me, they have a name in the cemetery. They put my family against me. That's so. Woman, tell me, they give me dead people bowling tea. Have me tied from my head to my toe.
Meanwhile, Royal Axback Titus was honored for his contribution to the Tobago Calypso fraternity.
I feel humbled, honestly, to be in this position tonight. I did not expect this. I didn't look for it.
For the Department of Information, I am Sophie Guillaume.
And that's our program. I'm Colleen Holder, and on behalf of the entire crew, thanks for joining us for this week's edition of Let's Talk Tobago.
As they come
our nation.